the most overrated episode in anime history. Now, you could certainly argue over what anime is the most overrated, but rarely have I seen discussed what episode is the most overrated. And when pondering what that would be, one episode kept showing up for me. Re Zero, episode 15, The Outside of Madness. I have not seen many, if any, episodes that are as glazed as this one, other than maybe episode 18 from Zero. Ironically enough, also from ReZero. If I had to give a non-ReZero episode, it would be the finale to Code Geass, though that episode isn't overrated. Only the anime is, or at least rated highly for the wrong reasons. Anyways, now before you guys go and try to murder me and my loved ones, I must clarify what overrated means. Overrated. Something that is rated or valued too highly. Or to have a higher opinion of someone or something than is deserved. So as you see, my wonderful ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying this episode... Okay, that's enough of that voice. I am not saying this episode is bad or poor, terrible, unacceptable, dreadful, awful, grim, distressing, or unpleasant. Well, actually, yes, it is unpleasant, but for all the right reasons. Regardless, enough stalling. I can already hear you guys screaming at me to get on with the video. So the episode certainly has strengths going for it, which can all be summed up in a word: cinematic. The stellar music at the end, emphasizing the striking emotional depths of the main cast. Great decision ending the episode right there. And that's to say nothing of the fantastic voice acting, the tension, the suspense built up from the very start of the episode, and the amazing title, Outside of Madness. But enough of the mandatory glaze fest. Let's get to the meat of the video. The cons. The episode starts off by showing Subaru stumble onto the mansion grounds and seeing Rem dead to a shitty dagger. I mean, how exactly is she dead here? Later on in this very episode, we see her get stabbed in the back, tank many fire spells, basically a nuke's worth, then show up to Betelgeuse's lair after soloing a bunch of the henchmen and sustaining plenty of blood loss, where she and Betelgeuse play quite the intense game of Twister. And if all of that wasn't enough, she is still alive enough to drag herself to Subaru and use magic to free him from his chains. Now, we don't see her face, so it's possible something hit her from there. Even then, the only person we really see capable of killing Rem is Betelgeuse, and he takes a while as he kills people in very grandiose gestures. But we don't see any signs of him or his unseen hands. Now, before some of you ask what kinds of signs are you looking for, quite simple really. Anything with marks that look like they were caused by fingers or large hands, or even the twisting we come to see later in the episode. I mean, think of how cool and mysterious that would have looked if we saw these strange marks on the mansion walls or on people's bodies. I digress. The point is that it's strange that this whole situation here implies that the witch cultists beat these guys without Betelgeuse. And even with Betelgeuse, they would have had to go through Rem, Beatrice, and Amelia, which we later see can just solo Betelgeuse. Granted, it looks like she knew about the ability, but you're telling me that none of them would have been able to figure it out, especially Amelia with her AoE attacks? And briefly on Beatrice, it's weird that it seems she didn't do anything to help, given the fact that she cares about Puck and the library is inside the mansion, which could get burned down by the witch cultists. And while you could argue that she wanted to die, like in season 2, by then Puck had basically already fucked off, or in season 1 he's still here, and there's still the possibility of Subaru being that person for her. Really, everything about the inside of this mansion is weird, like how Ram seems to have no wounds except maybe her head, yet she's bleeding out of her eyes. Maybe I missed it, but when I was rewatching this arc, I didn't see anything that could have caused something like this, except maybe Betelgeuse, but again, there's no hand marks on her, as she would have needed some deep marks on her head to cause this. Same with Petra seemingly losing her eyes. One cultist must have really wanted a promotion. Like this guy, he's getting up there. He needs this promotion if he wants to retire before he dies. Or was it this chick? She's an ambitious one. She's going to shock the witch cult world as she shoots up that corporate ladder. However, it's rather bizarre that so much of the inside of the mansion looks practically pristine. The most we see damaged are a few pieces of furniture being misplaced, some trails of blood, and notably no ice or fire at all, despite fire being the witch cult's trademark. That is also implying Amelia did nothing to help until they reached her room. She just aura farmed until she died, which is never how Amelia is portrayed. In the same arc, Amelia leaves the safety of the mansion to help the effort. The same scene where she takes on the Betelgeuse all on her own. The only way this scenario makes any sense is if they stealth killed everyone, which can't be the case since Rem's body's flailed out on the freaking like front lawn, and she killed many occultists, quite brutally, I might add. This isn't the only oddity. Just look at when Subaru breaks down after this route and everyone is wondering what is wrong. And Felix just says that he has no idea why Subaru is like this and doesn't bring up the smell of the witch being stronger, despite Felix being a demi-human. And so his nose should be privy to it, especially given his condition. And we know for a fact that it's stronger, as Rem points it out in her inner monologue. Stronger as in Subaru's, smell. Also strange that she herself doesn't bring it up when discussing Subaru's conditions given her affection for him. It's also strange how extreme Subaru's reaction to this route is in the first place, given the fact that he's already been tortured by Rem, had big boobed girl flex on him at Fortnite style as his guts spilled out, and had to face becoming dog fodder. Yet here, what happens is enough to trigger this big of a reaction despite knowing who caused this. I've heard that the adaptation of Arc 3 is missing an entire route, among other things, of course. So I wonder if that's why this comes off so strangely. Maybe there was a route that was supposed to happen before this that makes his reaction make a lot more sense. One final weird thing regarding Subaru is why it's only now that the cultists take him. In the prior episode 14, they just surround him and then bow. But then in episode 15, they go through the effort of fighting Rem to kidnap him. Now, originally I just assumed off-screen Betelgeuse saw him and ordered his capture, but as it turns out, he didn't even see what ride Subaru was on, so there's no way he saw him and ordered his capture in the first place. There's also larger concerns I have on this arc. I still don't get how Betelgeuse's final death worked. Subaru just writes some shit in the gospel and then he just withers away. It's just weird characterization because Betelgeuse died giving up due to the fact the witch doesn't love him. Hence him not switching to a henchman after the smush, I assume. But now he gets an epic phase 2 for no reason other than aura. Even if it was the fire and not what Subaru wrote, why is that what finally kills him? Especially after surviving that. Side note, why doesn't Betelgeuse take Subaru over in the earlier arc instead of taking the henchman over? This last part is more of a point of genuine curiosity, especially with how much he hated Subaru at the moment. Who knows, maybe he just didn't think to do it. Now again, Outside of Madness is clearly good despite this. However, given its flaws, are we really putting it over From Zero or even the Code Geass ending, really? If you'd like a more modern example, quite frankly, just take any standout episode from Freerun. But I get why this episode is viewed so highly. It's something you could easily use to make good edits given the spectacle and drama on display, which is something I think is lacking from season 3. We don't get to just sit with anything, whereas in, say, I don't know, episode 15, the anime makes us stay in that moment. Fingers crossed we get more of this in season 4. But I digress. Regardless, I do think this episode is more commonly overrated than other episodes, as when I stated I haven't seen as many episodes as overrated as this one, I wasn't just talking about people putting up a singular episode on a pedestal, as I'm sure many people have seen an episode come out and is super hyped, like, I don't know, Gear 5 Luffy, and people say it's the best thing ever, but that's the usual recency bias, and it eventually dies down, and who gives a fuck. But in the case of Outside of Madness, it's been almost 10 years, and people still say it's such hyperbolic statements. And it's these sort of statements that honestly kind of irk me. Don't get me wrong, seeing another TikTok edit of "this is the best anime episode ever"
for the millionth time
is annoying as shit, but my main problem is that this either pushes people away because they now associate the anime with its annoying claims, or people who get into the anime end up being disappointed by the episode due to their expectations, especially when a lot of people from the latter don't like episode 13 and may only be clinging to episode 15 and may be disappointed when it's not the best anime episode of all time. This coming from someone who watched ReZero like 5 or 6 times with several different people. Also, side note, I personally really like episode 13 and it might honestly be underrated. My only problem with it is that I feel the anime cut out a bit too much of Subaru's more undesirable traits early on, thus making the actions he takes in front of the knights seem a bit extreme, given what we've seen from him earlier on in the anime. One slightly more extreme example to help illustrate my point is Hunter x Hunter, where the Chimera Ant arc is put on this pedestal and people are disappointed when it's not the best arc ever and end up being bitter with the show even if they think it's good. They'll only acknowledge that after a significant amount of time has passed from when they originally watched it. The other reason for this video is also because the purpose of this channel is to express my opinions. Whoa, shocker, I know. Especially if I feel that it's different from others. And so there will be videos like this in the future that may even be positive. But also, to be clear, this channel will not only be quote unquote hot takes, as the video before this one clearly wasn't, but the next video nonetheless will be. Also, before I go, I am so fucking excited for ReZero Season 4. Holy shit. Okay, bye.